social media has really tapped into that and said, oh, you'll do anything? Okay, will you work for us for free? Then we all say, yes, I'll do it.
You're listening to Creative Rebels, the podcast for creatives. Welcome back, Rebels. David Speed here. What would you say is the most valuable commodity in the world? Some people will say it's Bitcoin. Some people will say it's gold. I believe that it's your attention. And if you have a smartphone, then your attention's being hijacked and quietly siphoned away from you. Because it's quiet, it's subtle. It's 30 minutes here, an hour there. And I think it's more dangerous than most of us will give credit. If your life is where you place your attention, so the things that we care about are the things that we give attention to, then if your attention's being hijacked, then your life's being hijacked. Your life is being stolen. And I do believe it's theft because it's not accidental. It's by design. And I think we should be angry about it and angry with these tech companies. This all sounds like I'm leading you towards a big magic solution. And I'm sorry, but I don't have one. I don't have the answer because I'm probably just as addicted as you are. I am, though, quite hopeful because I think I'm at the first stage, which is admitting that I have a problem. And from here, I can start to work out what those solutions might be. This week's guest is August Lamm, and she's worked out a solution. She's ditched the internet altogether. And now I interviewed August a few weeks ago, and every person I've bumped into since been like, oh, what have you been up to? And this has been like a real highlight for me. So I was like, I interviewed the girl with no internet. And the responses, because it was such a fascinating interview, I just wanted to tell everyone about it. And the responses have been so interesting and very varied. And I was talking to someone actually yesterday who said that they think this is selfish and entitled. And I don't know, man. I mean, let me know what you think. I think that your sanity is your responsibility. And if that means not participating in the things that everyone else deems as normal, then so be it. That's your decision. So examples of that in my life, I deleted WhatsApp about 7 years ago. And I know it's a pain in the ass for people. And I know that, like, specifically clients, there's loads of clients who want to talk on WhatsApp, but it was not serving me. I hated it. It was a full-time job. I felt trapped to that platform, so I deleted it. And I will never go back. And that's just, if you want to talk to me, then you'll work out how. There are other ways, and you'll work them out. I've lost friends over the years. I mean, this is when I was younger, but I lost friends through not drinking alcohol. Everyone knows that I leave parties at 9 p.m. because I go to bed at 10, and that's just what it is. The people who love and care about you are going to accept the boundaries that you have, even if it's a pain in the ass for them. So meeting up with August was a pain in the ass for me. She checks her emails at New York Public Library. One of the days that I was we were really trying to communicate with each other. It was a public holiday, so the library was shut, and August was emailing me from an Apple store on the free Mac. And the last email I got from her on that day was like, I'm going to have to go because they're getting pissed off with me. So like, this is not ideal. So August thinks that the only way is she's an anti-tech activist, and she thinks the way to freedom is off of the internet altogether. I hope that there's a middle ground. I really do. I hope that there's some way that we can. So I'm trying to implement different things. I've installed the apps, the app blocking thing on my phone, so I'm not able to spend more than an hour on Instagram every day. It's like I replied to a text a minute ago. And so my new thing is not checking social media before midday. And so far, this has been huge. In the hours before midday, I am now only writing and painting, which has been huge. I've only been doing it for a couple of days, but it's really working out well so far. So it's not that I don't check my phone all day. I don't check social media. So I will reply to the occasional email. I will reply to a text message. And I just got a text. And after I finished replying, I swiped up, and then through complete autopilot, my thumb started doing this weird circle, and it was magnetically being pulled to the colorful squares on my screen deciding which app I was going to go into. And I was like, fuck, this is such an ingrained like behavior that so often we don't even realize we're doing it. So I'm trying to find little ways around it that's not as drastic as completely getting rid. When I first went sober many years ago, it definitely wasn't the norm. But now if you don't drink, it's pretty universally accepted. So maybe it will be that way with the internet someday. There are definitely communities popping up consisting of people with dumb phones. But for now, I'm hoping and praying that there is a way around it. But and so maybe some of you will listen to this episode and you will say, that's it, I'm done with being online. I doubt it, honestly. And maybe one or two of you will, but I don't think any of you will. But what I hope that you get from this episode is the many different ways that we can help ourselves, that we can get untangled from the tech that is fucking up our brains. So I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. It's The Girl with No Internet, August Lamm.
Hi, August. Thank you for coming. What is an anti-tech activist?
The terminology is always complicated. I feel like whatever phrase I use to describe myself, the person that I happen to be talking to that day takes issue with it, and then I wish I'd used another one. Like, I'll say technocritic sometimes, or low-tech advocate.
That's nice. I guess that's more positive.
Yeah, it is more positive, but most of the time I feel very angry at the world. So anti-tech encompasses that.
Yeah.
But I have had many interactions in New York where I'll say I do anti-tech activism. The person goes, oh, I work in tech. And it feels very aggressive to say I'm anti-you.
Yeah.
But an anti-tech activist is someone who is fighting, I would say not to force people off of this technology, but fighting for the option for people to leave this technology, and for those people who want to leave to, one, have the option, two, be aware of the option.
Why do you get angry?
Well, it was a lot easier for me when I was living in a rural area because the community there was stronger and I wasn't seeing thousands of people every day. And here, I'm mostly witnessing people who aren't in an interaction. It's people just moving through space. And I noticed that most people are treating that interstitial time as something to just be endured. You know, like, oh, I have to be on the subway between seeing this friend and that friend. And I just want to make this time disappear. I just want it to go away. I just want to fill it, pack it with something so I don't have to be aware that I even exist. And then I'll just wake up in the next scenario, you know, the next party or whatever. And so I witness people in this period of time between events, walking down the street or being on the subway or waiting for the subway. And I see every single person plugging that hole with technology. And that makes me really angry because first of all, I see people not interacting with each other. I see people in groups or with their kids or with their partner, and they're not engaging with each other, or one person's trying to engage. That's horrible to watch. You know, watch a kid try to engage with their parent, or someone try to engage with their boyfriend or something, and the other person isn't available. That's really tough to watch. But also, people aren't having time with themselves. So if you're going from, let's say, work to dinner with friends, you're not having space to recenter and think, how was work today? How am I feeling? How long do I want to stay at this event? Like, do I want to meet up with this other person later? How do I feel about this friend? What should I ask them? What's been going on in their life? You know, what do they need? And nobody's having those thoughts because they're just plugged up with media.
Yeah. Yeah. I had dinner with a friend who lives in New York the other day, and he went to the bathroom and I went on my phone. And when he came out, I was like, I just went on my phone, and I'm really annoyed at myself that I did it. That I like you say, like I plugged that time with that, because it's definitely something that I've been working on. So the podcast has been on a 3-year break, and it's just come back, and I'm noticing that the conversations that I'm having now, we're having so many conversations about technology, phones, the pervasiveness of it all, and the sort of malaise and discontent of how we feel as being these online beings 24/7. And it's so much more of a theme now in the conversations that I'm having than ever came up sort of before that 3 year gap. So like, yeah, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I just wasn't having these conversations, and it wasn't at the forefront. We weren't thinking those things, but now like I'm so aware of it, and it's really funny talking to you because I want to say like I'm trying, but it feels really pathetic saying that to you because you're someone who's actually managed to completely make the cut.
Well, I think that trying is just not going to get you. Like, there's just no amount of trying that's going to fix the problem. You just have to make these radical decisions. And I think that you trying not to check your smartphone when your friend goes to the bathroom, like that is more difficult than me just not having a smartphone.
Yeah.
And people think that I have the willpower and the discipline, but what I'm saying is no willpower and discipline is going to help. And if I had the smartphone, I would be doing the same thing. I'd be going to the bathroom and checking like everybody else is. I'd be on the train trying to like listen to a song and reply to a text and look something up and read a book on my phone all at the same time and map there. Like I did those things, and I would do those things today. So yeah, this malaise that you're talking about, I mean, I hate to have every reaction I'm having to the world right now is a negative one, but I feel frustrated even by the malaise because I'm like, if everyone is unhappy with this, how come we're keeping each other? It's like all of our arms are linked and we're like, you can't leave the circle. I want to leave the circle too, but you can't leave because you need to reply. I hate it here.
No, just stay.
You need to stay. I need to stay. I want to leave. You want to leave, but we all have to stay.
Yeah. So would you say then that, so how did you get to the stage where you were like, this is enough, and you made that cut?
Well, I mean, there's two answers to that question. One is you know, what led me to that place in terms of my life experience, but the other one is like how did I prepare myself for that switch, like in terms of my life. So the first answer is that I was an influencer before, and I was so addicted to my phone because like many people, even just freelancers, people who aren't working on social media, it feels like the time I put into my phone or my computer is time that I'm putting into my career. And I'm invested in my career. I love what I do. And so I'm going to keep putting that time in, and I don't want to pull away because then I'm going to lose opportunities and lose relevance, lose momentum. So I was trapped in that cycle for years. The irony of it being, of course, that then you're not actually developing your skills because you're spending all day trying to package and market and hashtag and post your work, but not just to make better work or to build a network or anything like that. So I got really burnt out on that. And
you were posting like music and art. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, I started out as a musician, but I did not succeed doing that. So I went into visual art, and so I was posting illustrations and paintings and you know, process videos and live streams and Q&As and anything you could do to try to get attention online I was doing. And yeah, it was making me really unhappy, and I didn't have that much time for art, and I was pushing myself really hard, and I was refreshing my DMs constantly. Anybody that DM'd me and said, you know, cool work, I would reply to that. Why was I replying to that? But then I would think, well, what if this person, you know, works at a place and they know someone and they're going to hook me up with this? And that would happen. Somebody would give me like a $10,000 commission because they commented on one of my pieces and I liked their comment. It was like, so it just felt like all these opportunities, I was trying to snatch all of them. And I felt like to leave Instagram and to leave my devices behind would be to leave my career behind. And when you're an artist, you have this narrative to yourself where you're like, I'll do anything for this.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give up the high salary, and I'll give up my family's respect, and you know, all this stuff. I'll give up the traditional hours. So social media has really tapped into that and said, oh, you'll do anything? Okay, will you work for us for free? Then we all say, yes, I'll do it. So that's what happened emotionally. And then logistically, it was a lot of preparation. And I don't ever want to diminish that and say you can just ditch your smartphone overnight. Although I do think it's important to realize it is possible. You will survive. If you got rid of your smartphone right now, you'd be fine. But you do need to prepare for it a bit. And getting rid of my computer was much bigger than getting rid of my smartphone. That was like a month and a half of daily preparation. for that.
Okay, and so what is that preparation? First off, with the smartphone.
Yeah. So the smartphone, it's expectation management. I am someone who, I was living abroad when I did it, so that meant can't have phone calls with my American friends anymore. I was living in London and I couldn't walk around and do, voice notes and send pictures and be in constant touch with these people. So that was somebody else's expectations that I needed to, and then other things were like, I'm going to be asking more questions about how to get someplace. People can find that annoying. Some people find it really fun to direct you. You text them, okay, well, tell me the walking directions, and they get to tell you, turn left here and whatever. Most people are very annoyed by it. Sometimes I'll just call a random friend I'm not even going to hang out with that day and say, can you look up directions for me? So that was a big change. I got a film camera, things like that. In the beginning I had an iPod, but then I realized I also have a brain I can just entertain myself with, so I didn't need the iPod anymore. Yeah. That was the thing I was worried about was, oh no, I listen to audiobooks, I listen to podcasts, I listen to music, and then I realized I can just walk around, I can bike, I'm fine. Yeah. So that was what happened for the smartphone. And if you need to post on social media, figuring out how to do that on desktop. Sometimes you need to get an emulator. For WhatsApp, I had to get an emulator, which is like a program on your computer that pretends to be a phone.
Right.
But that was so hard to use, and it felt convoluted and antithetical to the message. So now I'm off WhatsApp, but I do wonder who's texting me on WhatsApp still.
Yeah. I mean, I used to have like 2 drinks a year. I used to have a drink on my birthday and drink on Christmas. And this had been after many years of like drinking less and less alcohol. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm having 2 drinks a year. This feels pretty pointless. Why don't I just not have any drinks? And that was about 8 or 9 years ago. Since then, I've been completely sober. It feels like with the phone, you were like, okay, well, I've got rid of the phone. What's the point in me having the laptop or the computer? And then you were like, so then you ditched the laptop.
Yeah, I have to say it's funny you brought that up because I had the exact same experience. Everybody assumes that I'm sober because I had a drinking issue, but really it was just like, I would realize, oh, I'm only having 1 drink at this event. I'm not even getting drunk. And then it would be, oh, I'm only having 1 drink, but I'm not even finishing the drink. Oh, I'm only getting 1 drink once every 3 parties. And then it was like, well, if I'm not needing it, then why do it?
Exactly the same. And people assume that I had a problem as well. Yeah. It's like the go-to. Oh, you don't drink. Oh, you must.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I do think you're bringing up a good point, which is like, embracing the extremes as a form of simplicity. Just like, okay, if this is generally how I'm living, why not make it a rule? And with the technology, it does feel like the more you limit it and the more you question it, the more you notice it. And so people laugh at me, but I'll often say like, but I'm addicted to my dumb phone, and they think I'm joking. But I'm like, no, when I feel lonely at home, I'll just text a bunch of people because I want someone to text me, but the great thing about that is that I get lonely, I spend 6 minutes texting people, and then that's the end of the line. There's no TikTok for me to go on. There's no thing for me to look up or content to post or anything. That's just it. So it is limited, but that compulsion is there. And so with my computer, I was being extreme with it. I was carrying it around and just opening it up all the time and trying to connect to Wi-Fi and in crazy places, in the middle of talking to somebody on the street. Like I just like open it. I remember once I went grocery shopping with a friend and we were at Tesco, and after the checkout I said, wait, let me just check if Tesco has free Wi-Fi, and pulled my laptop out of my bag, and we're like, that's so deranged. But I was thinking at the time, I was like, oh, I'm being quaint and low tech. But then I realized actually I'm being very high tech and compulsive there.
You were doing a workaround for, I can't use my phone, so let me do everything that I need on my phone. Let me just do it on my computer.
Yes. I just called it big smartphone, which it was. So I was using it all the time, and I'd get on a train and I'd be like, please don't let there be Wi-Fi on this train. And I'd open my laptop and I'd be like, do you want to connect to Southeastern Railways Wi-Fi? And I'd be like, no, because then there goes my next 3 hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that why you say that there can't be any middle ground and you can't because the way that these systems are designed doesn't allow for responsible use of a phone, like, because they're designed to keep us on them as long as possible.
I think that's absolutely true, and that is the argument. There's also the component of once you've gotten into that mindset and that loop. Like, I think for older people who haven't used this technology in an addictive way, in an immersive way where they're scrolling for hours, it's a tool they're using. Like, a lot of older people think of their laptops as just a way to look something up and send an email. They don't understand its capacity for entertainment.
Yeah.
So
until they find Facebook.
yeah, I know. But I know a lot of people in their 80s because my dad was much older, and so all of his friends and his partner and everything, and they're in favor of what I'm saying, but they don't feel the need for it personally, which I totally understand. But I think once you've been in that loop and you know what it's like to have nothing going on in your life and to think, oh, maybe I need to do something and I'm stressed about something else, and then I can just have this thing and it makes it all go away, then whatever device can possibly serve that purpose for you, you're going to gravitate towards that. I even recently, after I got rid of my computer, I was packing up my stuff. I store a lot of stuff at my older sister's house, and I was packing up to move to a new apartment. I discovered an old iPad, which I used for drawing, in her basement. And this iPad was, over 10 years old, barely worked. But I discovered it in her basement, and I took it. And I wouldn't let anybody see it because I was so, oh, I don't have a computer, I'm a radical. And I got addicted to it again. At first, I just took it and I was like, I'm just going to check my email one time so I don't have to walk half an hour to the library. Turned it off, wiped it, put it back in the basement. The next day, went and pulled it out. And I couldn't stop myself. And then once I knew there was an internet-connected device in the house, it was just, I was back in it.
That's so interesting. I've heard you say that you believe that we can have a systemic change.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck is that possible?
Well, first step is believing that, or professing to believe.
Yeah, I want to believe, dude. So if you can convince me, then please do.
Well, systemic might not be the right word because that implies a belief in the system's willingness and incentive to change. The system doesn't want to change. I wish that people would just realize that the system is powerless without us. Like, Instagram does not have power if we all divest from it. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But can we just do a thought experiment and realize if we all picked up our smartphones right now and deleted our accounts, Instagram would be over? Yeah. Like, we do actually have power. And especially like if we speak out about that and we share that. I've always said that my goal is to just have it so everybody knows one person who has a dumb phone. Just has a kind of spirit guide if they need it. And they can say, well, I know it's possible, because my colleague has a dumb phone. And so not everyone needs it.
In a community, because you're the only person I know who doesn't have a smartphone, is there a community of people who are rejecting modern technology?
There is a community. I wouldn't say that it is a community in the real local sense of like, oh, all my dumb phone friends that I see every day. Like, honestly, I go weeks without talking to a single person that has a dumb phone. None of my friends have dumb.
In there somewhere, isn't it?
No, I know.
There's a reason why you don't talk to them because
Well, that I actually, though, the funny thing about getting rid of my smartphone and my computer is that my social life has just exploded as a result. And not because everyone thinks I'm so cool for having a dumb phone. Like, it's not related to that at all. It's because I've become really open, and because I don't spend those hours in the house just scrolling or trying to coordinate a hangout online, to look up a meetup or something. I just have to go out in the world and things happen that way. And also because when I meet someone in person, a lot of people just say, okay, I'll add you on Instagram. We'll see each other's stories for the next few months. Maybe then we'll plan to go to a thing together if it aligns. But I have to really strike while the iron's hot. If I meet someone at a party, I think they're cool, I'll just say, let's go to a reading together next week. Give me your number. I get their number. I text them. We hang out. So I've just been much more decisive about those things instead of assuming I'll see them online or on a dating app or something. Like, if I want to see that person again, I have to make it happen and make a plan. So that's been really good for my social life. But really, like, a lot of things happen to me. It is almost spiritual. It's like I'll have nothing to do and I'll just go out of my house, and then I'll run into a person or strike up a conversation with a stranger, and it will lead to something else, and then my whole evening's filled.
Yeah, that is really beautiful. I really love that. It's very human. It's very old school.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's very not what we do now.
But that's what everyone did. Like in the 70s, you read all these books where people say, you know, in San Francisco or New York, where they just say, I was looking for something to do, so I went out. I ran into my friend at the bar. He said he was doing this. I went over there and I found these people, and yeah.
I guess it's easier to hide behind the technology because talking to new people is hard, and I don't want to like call out, because I mean I'm very introverted myself, so I don't want to call people out for like not having the courage to go up and talk to new people. But because you've got the technology, you don't have to. And but I suppose as soon as you eliminate that, then it's, well, I'm either going to be really lonely or I'm going to go and talk to new people, and it sort of would force you into it, I guess.
Well, have you read the statistics about how much time people are spending at home nowadays?
I've seen notes, but yeah, go ahead.
Because it's just unbelievable. Like, of course, there have always been shy people and introverted people. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be going up to people and saying, hey, what's up? Let me be your friend. Like that. It is a certain type of personality that can do that. But the amount of time we are spending alone and at home, because we have the option to do that, because we have we can get our food delivered, we can watch movies there. You know, think about even just a movie. Going to a movie doesn't feel like a social thing, but you're walking to the train, you're seeing people, you get on the train, seeing people. Like every single moment of that experience of going to the cinema, coming out of the cinema, going back home is a social experience. And that not only is good for you, but also prepares you to be more social in the future.
Yeah.
When you stay at home, you get in that cycle where you're like, I actually don't know if I can go out anymore. And we're all starting to feel that and spending all this time at home. And we spend more time at home now than we did during COVID. Like, where it's like crazy. It just keeps going up and up and up. I think it's because we have all these amenities and because we can feel social without leaving the house.
Yeah. And I guess the way that everything has moved, it's like you can get everything delivered to your house.
Yeah.
You don't need to go out to get shopping anymore. It just arrives.
I think people underestimate the importance of that. Like, sure, I pay probably £5 extra, or $5. Sorry, I'm back in this, just moved back to America. $5 extra for everything because I don't look up the best price, you know, because I don't do the research and I don't find out. And maybe I don't get the best version of it or something, but one, I save the time of looking things up online, which people spend a lot of time comparing deals online. And two, I go out of my house and I meet people, and I meet the person at the local store, and I have a little interaction, and that makes me feel human. And I also support local businesses.
I mean, that again, I mean, I can end up not buying something because I go online to look for something, and then I get we have so many options. Like,
Yeah.
Options drive me crazy. I can get so like overwhelmed with, oh, but this one has got 5-star reviews and this one's got 4-star reviews.
And you've got 10 tabs open and you're at the checkout for all of them, and you're trying to get the promo codes, and then you go to the shipping, and then, oh, that one's $15 shipping, that one's free shipping, but that one's going to come later. Like, it's nonstop.
There's that quote of, we all have the same 24 hours. Like, you have the same 24 hours as Beyonce.
But I hate that quote because she has assistants and everything.
Of course. I feel like you have more of a 24 hours than most of us.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. That's my argument, is like, okay, so what is the point of life? You know, that's a question we really have to ask ourselves nowadays. What am I trying to do with my time? And what I'm trying to do with my time is be aware that it's happening and be in my life and use it and not have it just slip away, and also to be with people and to learn things and to make things. So I've had so much time to pick up new hobbies. I'm taking lessons for 2 new instruments, you know, just like, and I picked up squash. Now I go and I play squash with people. Like, I'm having so much fun. I have all these activities, and then I have time to like waste time.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing about putting these guardrails up of not having the technology is that wasting time at home is different. Wasting time is like, oh, I realized I hadn't read this magazine yet, so I picked it up, and then I spent 25 minutes doing that. But that's not wasted time, you know? So it's great. It's just like listening to the radio, playing guitar, typing stuff, responding to letters. Like I'm making a life where I have no option to do things that will leave me feeling ashamed.
And the magazine it has an end. It don't just keep flipping through a magazine forever.
Although, well, with some stuff like playing guitar, you'll be like, oh my God, I have not brushed my teeth and it's 4 p.m. and I've just been playing guitar all day. You know, but yeah, it could be worse. It still could be worse.
Yeah, it could be so much worse. And it is so much worse for most of us.
Yeah.
So then could you just walk me through a fictional day in the life? Like just
Oh yeah.
for what do you do?
It's funny. I hope it doesn't come across as smug, but like I'm just so excited about my life without a computer. I feel like it's the best decision I've ever made. And so every day I kind of feel like I'm looking back at my day being like, I hope someone asks me what my day was like. So I'm glad you asked this question because it's the best. Like wake up, turn on the jazz radio station. I really love jazz. It's my favorite thing. I turn on the jazz radio station, make my oatmeal, make my tea. Then I have my reading time where I drink my tea and I read. And then I have a goal of writing 1 letter before I leave the house every day because I get letters in my P.O. box and it's like, you can't just be getting the letters and not writing. So I try to write 1 letter and that also kind of like gets the rust off in my brain. It's like a low pressure writing assignment. So I'll write a letter. Sometimes I'll just do a fun little poem to send along, something to just make up on the spot to send with the letter because people like to, I love when people send me little drawings and poems and things like that. And then sometimes I'll go to like, I'll stop at the library and check my emails sometimes, but I like to just go to the park, like Washington Square Park, and there's people around, and then I'll do some writing there, or I go to a library and work on my writing. And then I'll usually go to the gym, come back home, maybe make food, type up what I've written. And then there's always a big chunk for music where I'm like practicing clarinet or banjo or playing guitar or singing or something like that. It's so much fun. I get CDs from the library. I'll get like an Aretha Franklin or Miles Davis CD and then I put it in my CD player and then I practice clarinet and I like play clarinet to the CD and like come up with solos. And it's so fun. I'm just in my room being like, I'm having the best time. And then usually in the evenings, I'll have a plan, like there's a literary reading or something that I'll go to. Oh yeah, I try to do exercise every day. So I try every day to do either running, weightlifting, or playing squash. Or I do physical therapy too I have neck issues, stuff like that. So then I'll go to literary reading and maybe meet up with a friend for dinner, do the reading and, yeah, sometimes like if the reading lets out early, I'll just stop at a bar on the way home and just like read a book there and feel like a mysterious book lady at the bar. And then I just like go home and read and go to bed.
Amazing.
It's the best.
Sounds beautiful. You mentioned there you might go and reply to an email. So
Yes.
So what's your system with your sort of little bits of internet connection that you do have, because you do have an email address.
Yes.
And we wouldn't have been able to, we scheduled this.
I mean, we barely were able to.
That's a story for another time. Yeah.
Well, my fear when I decided I'm going to go to the library and check my email, because I got a lot of hate for that where people would say, oh, so you still have a computer, it's just the library, like as though that's the same thing. So my fear was, I'm just going to transfer my addiction to the library. I'm going to be going to the library. I'm going to spend 6 hours there every day doing internet stuff. And the weird thing was, at first, that was the case. Like the first few days I went to the library, I got in at maybe 9 a.m. and was there until like 2 p.m. just looking up everything I could think of, doing all sorts of admin stuff, replying to every email, updating my website, researching opportunities. And then as I started to develop this life that I was telling you about and realizing I have all this time for these other things, I started to dread it, which is like a feeling that I took great pleasure in. The feeling of, oh no, I have to go to the library today because I promised I'd reply to that email. That's such a good feeling because it's like, I've broken that addiction. I don't want to go.
Right. Yeah, great.
And I never thought I'd get there. So now it's at the point where I would say like probably the majority, over half of the digital correspondence and tasks that I have to do slip through the cracks. And I've just accepted that. It's like the most important things are the people who follow up the most. Those are going to be the ones that I reply to the email. But if I go to the library and I have, let's say, an hour and a half to reply to a week's worth of emails, and I have to make a doctor's appointment and do a bank transfer, and pay some outstanding bill in a different country, it's like that takes time. I also have to type up my writing. So I bring in my typewritten pages and type up stuff to send to an editor. After I've typed up a page of text, I'm not really feeling like I want to answer these emails. Yeah. So then I go through and I star the ones I don't feel like answering, but I don't get to a lot of them. So I think people are realizing that they've got to find another way to get in touch with me. And I wouldn't say I'm phasing it out with the aim of not using email at all eventually, but I'm phasing it out so that everyone has a secondary way of getting in touch with me that maybe they use if I don't reply to an email, because I'm just not good at it anymore.
So you mentioned a couple of times people getting quite angry with you.
Yes.
Which blows my mind. I was talking to my girlfriend, Yana, who you met earlier. I was speaking to her about it, and she was like, I totally understand it. And she gave me her version of it. But for me, it's like, if you're going to go vegan, right? But you go to your mum's house and she goes, I've made you chicken because that's what mums do. Mm-hmm. And you eat the chicken so that your mum doesn't cry. Like, I don't feel like you're doing the best that you can. But for some people, everything has to be so total. And if you say, I'm not going to use the internet, then they get really triggered and they're like, but you said you weren't using the internet and now you've sent an email. It's like, chill. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm using it way fucking less than you are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know, yeah, astronomically less, like a different order of magnitude, just so much less.
But so why are people angry?
Well, the thing is, people get angry for every reason. Like, and I think, I mean, the obvious explanation is that people are unhappy with their own technology usage. They don't want to believe that there is a simple way out. They want to believe that the person who's found the way out is either lying about it, or not fully adhering to it, or is causing so much inconvenience to other people. And therefore the person who's still using tech is being a better person, a better community member, Samaritan or whatever. Because I find that people, it's like anything I do, people get angry. If I insist that I'm not going to use technology at all, and I won't look at the Google Maps directions for it, and I'm using my paper map and it ends up with me being confused or late, then it's like, haha, technology would have helped you then, and your experiment is a failure because your life was negatively impacted by this. It's either that or, I stop someone on the street to ask for directions, they look it up on their phone, and then it's, you did use technology. You just used somebody else's. So you're still using a smartphone. You're just insisting other people have smartphones. And so it's like anything I do, if I don't use email at all, it's like I'm being too demanding of other people. But if I do use email, then I'm not actually following through on my experiment. I just can't keep track of what people want from me.
People are wild. I mean, when I heard about what you're doing, it was just curiosity. I was like, this is a person I really would love to talk to. And I think, and again, rather than you holding a mirror towards my dreadful internet usage, like, I've already got that. I already know the problem. Like, I'm more interested in hearing how you combated it rather than being defensive. Mm-hmm. Like, how dare you tell me that I'm on TikTok too much? It's like, I know, dude. I fucking know.
Yeah, people do not respond well to that at all. People really don't. So I don't do that. But I think what riles people up, and they're probably totally, within bounds to be upset by this, but it's when I'm with someone and they use technology for something, like if I'm trying to navigate somewhere and they go, please let me just do it on my phone instead of using the paper map, or instead of like asking someone, I do get annoyed at that, because I'm like, I'm just trying to live my life this way, and you're ruining this experience for me. Yeah. Or I go on a walk and somebody goes, oh, that was, 8,000 steps and we burned this many calories. Yes. I'm like, please don't tell me that. I want to exist in a pre-digital world, and just humor me. And also, like, this is really condescending, but like, why don't you get the benefit of this while you're hanging out with me and like really sample this? And so I do get annoyed with people, and I try not to, I don't think I ever snap at people for this, but I do get frustrated if I'm telling a story and people are looking at the directions on their phone, and I'm like, dude, you think you're just looking at the directions, but actually your attention's there. Your attention's in the phone. And I know you're not listening to me as much as you're looking at the directions. And like, I don't want to be updating you about something difficult in my life while you're looking at the map. That just bugs me. So people get annoyed because they feel judged by me. And I've had people say, when I'm with you, I feel like I'm embarrassed to take out my phone. Or even when I'm not with you, every time I take out my phone, I think about you and feel judged by you.
I mean, that's kind of a them thing. Unless afterwards you go, you're such a dick, you used your phone today.
No, I'm always so quick to be, oh my God, no, of course use your phone. I would never judge you for it. Deep down, I'm like, pathetic, weak person. But we're all saying that to ourselves, because that's what I said to myself for years. Yeah. I hated living with that feeling that I was wasting my life, and I knew it. I was like, every time I picked up my phone, I knew it's not me that's picking up the phone, but I'm still letting it happen.
Who is picking up the phone?
It's the addiction, and it's the corporations that want me to be picking up my phone. It's not really my desire.
Yeah. So going from being the influencer, I would imagine that was like terrifying in terms of how am I going to survive if I walk away from this? Mm-hmm. Because I guess, I wouldn't use the word influencer, but I have a large social following, mm-hmm. and I feel like, I don't know if I definitely am, but I feel like I'm very beholden to having that in terms of like my livelihood, how much I earn, being directly proportionate to my online audience. Mm-hmm. So how did you then, with like a large following and brand deals and all of mm-hmm. all of the DMs that come through to you, were you not scared of like, I'm going to be broke and destitute if I walk away from this?
Well, podcasting is an industry that it doesn't have a pre-digital history. And so with the industries that I was in, which are visual art and writing, there's a long history of careers, earning money, having representation, building networks without the internet. And so I just thought, okay, how did people do this before? And the way they did it before was having agents, having book deals, showing in galleries, meeting people in cities, moving to cities that have this community. And so then I just started going down that list and doing those things in preparation for leaving social media. Yeah. And it was a years-long process where I got my first book deal, and that gave me confidence, but I still didn't have an agent at that point. I just got the book deal through the publisher. And then I got an agent about 2 years ago. So that gave me more confidence that my career existed outside of social media. And then I had a deal with myself that the next book deal I got, I would leave social media. And then that happened, and I was like, well, because my thoughts were the publisher's going to look at my social media before they make this offer. Yeah. And they did, of course they did. So then once I got the offer, I was like, well, this was what I was waiting for. So it does become complicated when I'm giving people advice at the beginning of their career, and often people will say, well, you're advising people not to follow the path that led to your surviving as a freelance artist, and that can feel almost selfish in a way. It's like, I got this resource, but you shouldn't get that resource. But I really think that if you channel all those hours into traditional community building, networking, finding, powerful people or agents or publishers that take you on, or patrons or something like that, think about the amount of hours you put into your social media. I'm not talking about podcasting, because I have no idea how you do that offline. I don't think that's possible. But for a lot of industries, music is a tough one because everybody's posting little videos, but there are still ways to make industry contacts in person. Yeah. And I think that we shut these down and say, well, you can't do that. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, did you try to do that? Did you put in all the time that you're spending at home tapping on your phone? Did you put that time into going to concert venues, talking to people, like setting up meetings, emailing people to like pick their brains and get coffee. Like,
Yeah.
did you try that, or did you just assume that it's not possible? Because let me tell you, it's more possible than ever because nobody's doing it.
That's so true.
So it makes an impact when you do.
So true. Yeah. So actually, you will be surprised, but podcasting is incredibly offline.
Really?
Yeah. So this show does well because people like it and they share it. And so I've kind of been quite open on the podcast of like, so my career as a visual artist is based around Instagram and having a following. But with the podcast, I've already said to the listeners, like, I'm really busy over here doing my art. I don't have time to like promote this show and do all of there's no like viral TikTok clips of it or anything like that. It's people like it, so they share it with their friends, and it's grown massively through word of mouth. So that I'm hugely grateful for. And I think I hear from listeners all the time who are sick of social media, mostly for like the echo chamber, because when you first start and it feels like you're screaming into the void and you're posting your best work, this gorgeous, beautiful, amazing art that you're making, and these songs and poems and these paintings and all of the beautiful things, and it's just getting 3 likes and one of those is your mom and no one's really seeing your stuff. But I think what a lot of people want is they want the magic bullet of, they're like, I don't want to work really hard at building a social media following. And I get it because it's really zapping. But all of the things that you spoke about are also options, but they also take a shit ton of work. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are looking for, I don't want to do this hard work over here, but I also don't want to do any hard work. Have you got like a really easy option for me to just be a full-time artist? Like,
well, people also want the easy option where they don't have to practice and get good at their craft. So like everybody wants the easy option.
Yeah.
I think that the problem with social media is like, if you just put them side by side and say, you can work to build a traditional network or you can work to build an online network. The thing is, the online network isn't yours. At the end of the day, you don't own that network. You can't transfer that. You can't take it anywhere else. You're always beholden to these corporations. They could take it away overnight. But the other thing can't be taken away overnight. You know, it's real. It's in the world. It's in people's minds. I find with social media, people would recognize me. They'd be like, you're person on Instagram, like, what's your name? What do you do? You know, there's just this vague sense of, I kind of know your work. I even had people like when my account got shut down for a few months I typed in the wrong password and they flagged it. Then after I came back, people would say, oh, you know, I missed your work, but I couldn't remember your name or anything to look you up.
Yeah.
And that was like really crushing for me to think, God, these people say they followed me for 7 years. And I'm one of their favorite artists on Instagram and they don't know my name. Yeah. And that's not how a real world network works. Like it is different. It's not the same thing. So I think your hours are better spent. They're also more rewarding as a human being, your hours that you put into building a real network.
I think as well, if you sit down and go, okay, I'm gonna grow my Instagram, that revolves around making content, posting content, answering DMs, answering comments, and basically using the app, being on the app, which for me is a lot of scrolling. Like if I pick up Instagram and go, okay, I'm going to do some Instagram, like most of that will be scrolling. If you then say, how am I I'm going to spend that same amount of time and instead of building Instagram, I'm going to build IRL. There's no IRL equivalent of just sitting there and scrolling. It's like you're going to send a very direct email to someone that you want to be in the room with, or do you know what I mean? The act of building outside of an app is very different. Whereas as soon as you go into the app, then you just start wasting time on the app. And I think if you then go, okay, I just spent 3 hours on Instagram, I made one good connection. Whereas 3 hours in real time, there's no distractions to that. It's like, well, you're going to do a lot of research. You're going to end up with a list of names and or places or galleries to visit. And I've got a friend who just booked a flight to LA and went to every gallery and just went in and spoke to all of them. And the opportunities that he is getting,
no way,
like, he's picking dope.
Well, you have to have the skills.
Exactly.
But that's the thing is, like, I wish people would just. My advice to all early career artists is just get to the point where if you're in the room with the person who can open the door, they're going to want to open the door for you, you know? Like, get to that point. It's not, like, when you're just starting out drawing, you don't need to know what to do if you're presented with a meeting at the Whitney. Like, you don't need to know that. You're not there yet. So, but the real life opportunities, that's part of the reason why I was able to get rid of my computer, because I was sure of my income, because I go to a lot of New York literary events, and then all the commissions I get nowadays are like, hey, we met at an event 5 months ago, and then I got asked by my editor to find someone to write this, and I thought of you, and I remembered what you said, and I found your email, and here I am. Like, that's, or I run into a person at an event, and I say, oh, I've been writing this piece, and they go, who are you writing it for? And I say, I don't have a place yet. And they go, oh, well, we're taking articles. So all of my income now is just people I met.
Incredible. So business-wise, what are your revenue streams?
My biggest revenue stream now is just my book advance, which it's funny to say that because it hasn't actually hit my bank account yet. The contract is still under legal review at my agency, but so that will take care of me for probably about a year. Just like that will cover my living expenses, which I've never had before, knowing that the next month is going to be covered. Yeah. Crazy. So, but I'm actually doing okay. I'm paying my rent. Otherwise, before that comes, I haven't had a day job pretty much ever. I mean, I worked at an ice cream shop for a little bit after I graduated, but I've never had I've always kind of cobbled stuff together at different levels of lifestyle. I've had really dark eras of couch surfing and playing music on the street, and then I've had more comfortable eras. Now it's essays. So these technocritical essays that I write, a lot of the larger media outlets are interested in that, and then you get paid the larger media outlet money. I do short stories. You're never paid more than most short stories are free. The ones that pay are $200 or something. That's just negligible. It's oh, that's a nice thought, but it doesn't really cover your time. So that's not much money.
But is it still worth writing those articles in terms of audience building and people seeing your name and becoming familiar with you?
The short stories definitely, because that's your fiction career. And my big fear now as an artist, and I'm not in the worst position, but it's I'm afraid this anti-tech stuff is going to take over so much that then I won't be able to be a fiction writer. And that I really love writing, and I think sometimes that gets lost because it's I'm communicating something with my writing now. I'm spending a lot of time trying to make this argument with my writing, and then that can be the primary thing, and then the actual quality of the writing is secondary, but I don't want it to be. So I like to put a lot of time into the short stories, and that could pay off. And I sold a novel, and it helped that I had published short stories and done fiction residencies and done readings. And I actually met my agent in person. I did a reading, and they just came up to me, so that it really does happen that. So those opportunities only happen if you're just making the art you actually care about. It's if you want to get paid for something, you have to do that thing before you get paid,
Yeah. And how does Substack fit into that?
Oh yeah, Substack, great point. Substack, God, I would say I probably make $400 a month off of Substack. So
that's great.
No, that's good. But living in New York, that's my expenses are thousands every month. So it is good to have my Substack there, and that's the only thing that feels like it's my audience that I own. The great thing about Substack, say what you will about the culture of it and how it's becoming Twitterified and all that kind of stuff, and it's its own social media, but you can download that mailing list. You can download those emails. Highly recommend everyone to do that once in a while, because then you have those and that's your mailing list, and they can't steal that. So that helps me sleep at night, knowing if I have to promote my next book, even if Substack dies before my next book comes out, I'll have these thousands of email addresses, and I can send that to those people.
So that's a really interesting point. Have you thought about what the promotion of the novel when it does, because it comes out next year, right?
I think it's going to come out in 2027. It's been delayed so much because the reason it got delayed, the book's been done for years. The reason it got delayed is that then I got this other book deal for the anti-tech book, and because that's timely, they want to put that out before the novel. because when you publish a novel, you're doing tours, and it's like a year of promoting it, and then the paperback comes out, and then there's another year promoting it, and you're going to book festivals and everything, and they want to do the anti-tech book before any of that starts.
So the promotion of the non-fiction would be different.
That would probably be less literary stuff. You know, I'm not going to be going to as many book festivals. Probably it will probably be more media interviews and stuff like that, talking about, you know, like this. It's just like talking about this subject, and so I've got a lot of that ahead of me. Fortunately, I can talk about this all day, so that's not a problem. But yeah, so that's the timeline for it.
Okay, cool. How many letters do you get?
I get a good amount. I'm so happy. I get a good amount of letters. I think it's like probably I get like 5 letters a week.
Wow. Are there any letters that you've got that you particularly remember, like favorite ones?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I rarely get a letter that is just a bland, straightforward letter. It's always something so moving and so revelatory, and these people sharing their stories at different stages. You know, people who are like, it's cool what you do, I can never do it. Or people saying, it's cool what you do, I'd like to do it. It's cool what you do, I'm working on doing it. Or, you know, I've done it. And those are the ones that I seriously, I could think of like 3 letters I've gotten that I cried. I cried when I read them because the person said, you know, I saw you on TV, or I heard your radio interview, or, you know, whatever. All these little media things I do that I'm like, oh, nobody's paying attention to this stuff. It's just out in the void. And they say, they just, like, these things I've even forgotten. You know, you were quoted in this article on this website, and then I looked up your work, and then I read your other things, and I realized I needed to make a change. And I've been using a flip phone for 4 months now, and here's the difference it's made in my life. And it's like to know that that's actually happening, that it's a real change. It's not just a philosophical shift of like, oh, this article helped me view the world differently. It actually made a change in my life. I got one letter from this woman, and she said that her kids were grateful, you know, because they got their mom back. And that's just amazing. So I got one letter from a college student recently, and he said he's in Nebraska, and he was like, I don't know anyone with a flip phone here, so I'm writing to you because you're the only person that gets it. And then he said, he was like, do you feel like your creative mind is just an overdrive all the time now that you've gotten your brain back, you know? And like, there's just too many ideas. And to illustrate this, he sent me all these drawings and poems and everything, and like just kind of freestyle prose experiments in the letter. And I felt so understood by that. And I wrote back to him and said, yes, it's like being, you know, having a manic episode constantly. You wake up in the morning, you're like, what if I wrote a musical? And then suddenly it's just in your head. And then you're like, but also I want to learn all these instruments, but also I want to learn to tap dance. I'm not making this up. These are real thoughts that you have. Like, you're just every day thinking, and every person you meet, you're like, you're good at that. We should start a barbershop quartet. And people are like, no, we're not going to do that. But all these ideas, it's crazy. I actually have a friend who recently went sober, and she had a really bad issue with alcohol. And she says the same thing. It's like, she's got all these ideas. She's like, I'm going to teach a workshop. I'm going to start a venue. Like this kind of reawakening of the self that you've been stifling and muting for all these years.
I think you're really good at doing IRL stuff. I saw a photo on your Substack of like a phone box in London where you'd like glued up a little poster. Is that how you promote stuff like that? Just sort of guerrilla in the street?
Yeah, I did meetups in London for a while. It was really sad to leave because I assembled this nice group of people to meet up and talk about this. But yeah, I just biked around London and put up these flyers. And some of them, it was like I'd bike around at night and do it, and then the next morning they'd be gone. But then at the meetup, somebody would say, I saw that flyer, even though it got taken away so quickly.
I mean, as a street artist, I've learned over the years, someone will see it.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, someone will see it.
Well, and the great thing is that the right people see it for my case, because they're the people not looking at their phone when they're walking down the street. They're the ones, like, I feel like I'm the #1 reader of New York's stickers and signs and graffiti and everything, because I'm just looking around, so I see it a lot. But I'd love to do that here. I'd love to start a low-tech meetup by putting flyers up. I had one sad thing happen that I'm trying not to let discourage me, but I wanted to start a low-tech workplace, like a place where people could rent an office together and there'd be no screens. I think the problem is a lot of people actually just do work on their screens, no matter how low tech they are.
Yeah.
So I put up flyers all around New York, and it was the first time I've done this. I didn't get a single reply.
Yeah.
I thought, oh no, I've lost it. I don't have the touch anymore.
I mean, I do get it though, because because when you were saying earlier about how you have to type everything up, so it's like you're writing twice, and I think for most people it would be like, yeah, I just want to write it once, I don't want to write it twice.
But when you write it twice, you edit it.
It's true.
So I used to do this type of editing that we all do, where you write your whole thing and then you go through and you edit this word and this word in this sentence and you delete this and add this and whatever. I just type up the whole thing, longhand edits, type up the whole thing again, longhand edits, then type it up in the computer. And that's quicker. And also I'm reading it as an entire piece and not just fiddling with little words. So it's quicker.
Type up, is that like on a
typewriter? Yeah.
It is on a typewriter.
Well, I have to have a typewriter. I also use the typewriter for letters because I learned very quickly if I'm trying to write by hand, as charming as it is, trying to write by hand to a bunch of people every week, it's so painful and illegible. And
yeah.
So I started typing, and now I feel bad because I send people these really long-winded kind of diary entries where I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking about this and that. It's like all they wanted to know was how to get rid of their smartphone, and now they know what like my alleyway looks like from my desk window.
Oh my God, I think I'm gonna have to write you a letter.
Please do.
I can hear it. Click, click, click.
Oh, my neighbors can hear it too. I'm actually, the other day I heard my neighbor walking up the stairs. I think she was bringing a friend home. And the friend was like, what's that noise? And she was like, my neighbor's learning an instrument and she practices a lot, because it was me playing clarinet. But I was like, okay, if they're hearing the clarinet, they're probably hearing the typewriter too. They're probably getting all the noises.
So annoying.
I'm so annoying. I thought about putting up, speaking of signs, a sign in my lobby saying, here's my number, I live in 6R. If I'm ever being too loud, please just text me.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. No, that's good. I think so. When I asked you a question about about people writing you letters, you said people say to you, I love what you're doing, but I could never do it. I love what you're doing and I want to do it. I love what you're doing and I'm kind of doing it.
Yeah. I
think that's probably going to be like most people who listen to this episode are going to fall into one of those brackets.
Yeah.
When you do get those people that say those things to you, what's your typical response?
Oh, it's really tough because I think there's the response that I feel deep inside myself, like my gut response. There's the response that I think they want to hear, and there's the response that I think might help them, is realistic. And those are all different responses, and it's hard to gauge in a letter, especially what to say.
What do you think they want to hear?
I think what they want to hear is, you have a very special circumstance, and I hate to say, but there's just no way to downgrade. There's no way to do it. You just have to keep your iPhone. You're one of the few.
Special one.
Because I actually get people coming up to me all the time and they go, I love your work. It's so important. I would downgrade tomorrow. The problem is I need maps. And I go, oh, well, the Nokia has Google Maps. And they go, oh. And I go, you're thinking of another excuse.
Yeah.
Because they always say that's the one thing. And it's like, that's not the one thing.
Yeah.
So I think what people want to hear is, you have a special work or life or relationship situation. People always say, oh, but I live abroad. And I'm like, well, bad news for you. I've lived abroad for most of my adult life. So, and it's possible. Yeah, there are certain jobs where really it is like, I just don't know. I don't know how you would do that without a smartphone. It sounds like your work is literally demanding that you have a smartphone. So fine. I'm not going to make you ruin your life over this. But then I think probably the only helpful advice to people is, try experimenting with using your phone less. Like, try leaving it at home for a while. And the idea is to maybe get people addicted to the feeling and to want to go further. Like we were talking about, like, once you start to distance yourself, you start to notice tech a bit more and its effect on you. So that's the only really helpful advice. But the real advice and the gut feeling advice is just, you're gonna live in this state forever. This state of, I want to make a change, but it's so hard, and I kind of made a change, it didn't really work. You're going to live in that state forever unless you make the radical change. And there's nothing else I could tell people.
Yeah.
You have to make the change or don't make the change. It's a binary.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's not what people want to hear.
No, because it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make that. Once you make the change, it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you are holding a mirror up to me. The reason that I stopped drinking was because I realized that it wasn't serving me anymore. And if I'm brutally honest, then I know that my phone time is not serving me anymore. But to hear that the answer is to not be on it is not the answer I'm looking for.
There you go.
It's almost one of those of like, when will be enough pain for it to... There's that parable, isn't there, there's a farmer sitting on a stoop with the dog, and the dog is whining and yelping and shouting, and someone walks past and says, your dog is whining and shouting and yelping. Why is that? And the farmer says, he's sitting on a nail. And the person says, well, why doesn't he sit up and move away from the nail? And the farmer says, it just doesn't hurt enough yet. And I think that's maybe where I'm at. It doesn't hurt enough yet, but I feel like at some point it will, and I'll have to get a dumb phone.
I feel like the people who are best situated to take that leap are the really intense, dramatic, impulsive people. The people who reach their breaking point very easily, like me. I'm just like, I can't handle this. I'm having a breakdown. I need to make an insane change in my life. The people who are more moderate and thoughtful, they'll take years to make the change because they don't reach that crazy breaking point. But it's a great question, is it serving you? I had a long conversation with myself about the computer. I bet you can imagine that was a really complicated conversation because it's like, but I've used it to write books.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm using it to make connections. I'm using it to have meetings with publishers. Like, I'm using it as a tool to make art. I have an Adobe membership and I'm making short films on here. Like, it is serving me, but my use of it was just so compulsive and it was so detrimental that it wasn't. But the dumb phone is a great example of a technology that, yeah, I feel like I'm addicted to it. I feel like it makes my life stupid and annoying a lot of the time because I'm just like walking down the street, texting like everybody else. So that does happen, but overall it is serving me because it's allowing me to live without the other technology.
Yeah.
So it's helping me to be in touch with people. It's helping me to coordinate plans, to not be left out of things, like to alert people when I'm going to be late, all those things. And without that, my relationships would really suffer. I wouldn't be able to see my friends as much. I also do a lot of phone calls, to catch up with people. And so, yeah, the technology is serving me there.
Have you thought about your future?
What about my future?
Like, do you see a day where something changes, where a little bit of technology is allowed back in, or?
I can't even fathom that. I thought you were going to say, like, do you think you'll delete your email account or go full? Because that I think is more likely
Yeah.
I think that it's possible that if the world doesn't shift enough and if everybody is, forced to adopt certain technology, let's say things that sound crazy but aren't crazy really, like microchips and virtual reality and like retinal scanning to enter the subway or something like that. If everybody's forced to adopt that, I say forced because nobody's taking a stand, so you're not really forced, you're just accepting it. But if that happens and people agree to it and that becomes life, then I think there is a future where I love cities, but where I have to go and live somewhere in the woods with the other people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
And if I do that, there won't be a computer there.
Yeah.
And so that's much more likely, that extreme. A great thing for keeping yourself accountable is to go public about this stuff, because now I'm much less likely to cave and to go back to this and I'm here for a reason, because I want to abide by these rules. But if I'm ever tempted to stray, there's that accountability.
Yeah, it's almost like your identity is wrapped around it now.
Yeah, and I'm trying to help people by being an example. And if I'm not an example, then who is?
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming on the show. What I normally say at this stage is, can you let people know where they can find you online?
I do have a website. I do have Substack,
Yeah.
and I get a lot of accusations of hypocrisy for having that. But, I have my Substack. I send out the occasional newsletter. It's just my name, August Lamm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I think when I first emailed you, I said, what you're doing is so radical, and I wish I didn't have to say that it was radical, but it is. And And yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's I wish we weren't like parading you out as like, look at the freak, he's got no internet.
That's so true. Oh my God.
With respect.
My friends are always introducing me as that. They're like, oh, this is my friend August. You know, and then they always have to tack on something where they go, oh, also she writes great short stories, you know, also she's a fake, you know, but then of course the next person just asks about the technology thing. Yeah. I am the little monkey, but it's fine. I'm happy to spread the message. I believe in it, you know.
Look, it's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I think people will find this fascinating as I have. And I would also urge people to go and check out your paintings because, like I said, when I first met you, I do want to flag, like, whilst you are really interesting with all the anti-tech stuff, you're also a phenomenal artist and I love your work. So
thank you.
Are you still updating your Instagram?
I'm locked out of it.
Oh, you locked out?
Yeah, Meta has locked me out because I tried to log in from the public library and they flagged it as suspicious.
Right.
So I can't update that, but I've been thinking about using my Substack to send out new paintings and drawings that I'm working on.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. Anyway, August, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know someone who would benefit from listening to this episode? If you do, share it with them. This podcast literally wouldn't exist if it weren't for the paid subscribers over at creativerebels.substack.com and for the team at Joy Collective.